Welcome to Mary Queen Stories, the official podcast of Mary Queen of the Holy Rosary Parish in Lexington, Kentucky. Our mission is to receive God's love, proclaim the greatness of the Lord, serve joyfully, and make missionary disciples of Jesus Christ. I'm your host, Jennifer Longworth, Communications and Parish Life Coordinator at Mary Queen. And today on Mary Queen Stories, I have the Sisters of the Little Way, Sister Theresa Aletheia and Sister Danielle Victoria. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, it's so good to be with you.
Thanks for having us on, Jennifer.
So tell us the mission of the Sisters of the Little Way.
Sure. So we're Sisters of the Little Way of Beauty, Truth, and Goodness is the long version of our name. And our mission is to those, like solidarity with those on the fringes of the church, but especially those who have been wounded or abused by members of the church.
We're a new community, so there's just two of us, and we were welcomed into the Diocese of Lexington this past year.
Now, how were you led into this? There's only two of you and brand new. And so what's your backstory? What's the story behind the Sisters of the Little Way?
We both were in a religious community together. I was in it for 12 years, and Sister Danielle was in it for 10 years. And the community was dedicated to evangelization using media, and so we were often online. And we would run into a lot of people who had experienced hurt in the church, and that was what informed their decision to leave the church. So it was just something that we prayed with a lot and a reality that we prayed with. But at a certain point, we both felt called to this new mission. And so we left that community, not really knowing how we would move forward or even how religious communities are formed. But we have learned along the way and talked to canon lawyers, and after we felt called by God to this new mission. And we're really grateful to Bishop John for welcoming us into this diocese.
So currently you all are staying in Mount Sterling, correct?
Yeah, right next to St. Patrick's.
That's your current home in the diocese, but let's talk a little bit about where you want to see this community grow. So tell us a little bit about your vision for your community.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a discernment for us along the way, because when we first felt this call within a call, we really felt that we had to discern, like, is this something that is a mission, that is a ministry within the church? And then as we prayed with that, we just were reconfirmed of our own consecration as religious women and sisters. And so we felt like God is really He may be calling many people to participate in this mission, and they may be given this charism. We see it all across the world, people who are reaching out to us that resonate with our call. As laity, as priests, as other brothers and other communities. And we felt called to be a religious community that really served a specific group of people. We recognized that it really took a whole reorganization of the way we pray, the way we see the organization of our life, like everything. So it's clear that if God wants this, then he needs to send members to other people who feel called to live this as a religious calling. We really feel called in kind of like the long-term vision to have a religious community, a mother house here in the Diocese of Lexington, somewhere that is located close to where we could go to Mass every day and don't have to travel across this very large diocese for Mass, but where we can have like a center of education, of prayer, of retreat, where people can come together and survivors of abuse, survivors of spiritual abuse, people who have been harmed in the church could come and experience healing and experience a place that's safe, that can receive them in the heart of the Eucharist. We also feel like there's a real component of creativity that's involved with that, and beauty, because our name is Sisters of the Little Way of Beauty, Truth, and Goodness. And so we lead with beauty and those transcendentals. And it's really like through this little way, our little way kind of modeled after St. Therese, that we enter into the transcendental beauty, truth, and goodness of God. So we also feel like there's a component of like artistic, creative expression that's a part of this place that we feel called to have as like a retreat center, but not retreat in the classical traditional sense that you might think of it. The larger vision is to have more members, and we do have women discerning with us that desire to join. and a place where we can grow and receive people.
So why Lexington? Why the Diocese of Lexington?
We chose Lexington because as a beginning religious community, you need to have the sponsorship of a local bishop. And so Bishop John was recommended to us as a bishop who might be open to our mission. And since our mission involves addressing abuse in the church, and it also involves online digital kind of education around abuse, it can be a bit controversial. And so we were really grateful to Bishop John that he was open to us carrying out the mission in the way that we felt called. And so that's how we ended up in Lexington, and we're really happy to be here.
Now, you've touched on it a few times about your online presence. So I want to talk about that and what you're doing online and through your podcast that you have, and give you the floor to talk about that side of your mission at the moment.
Like we said, we really feel called to lead with beauty in this mission, especially because it seemed like such a difficult thing to approach. And for so many people, when you hear that we meet most of our days with survivors of abuse or people who have left the church, that can sound rather heavy. But for us, that's an encounter with Christ. And we really have this idea of not going out to the darkness to bring the light, but we encounter Christ, our light, in those we serve, in the darkness of that experience, of that kind of abyss of suffering, or whatever it is that somebody might be living, feeling exiled from the church. And so, or separated, or having a difficult relationship. And there's something that God does there that's just so profound. So when we set out as kind of like our first step into mission, our desire was really to, first of all, share our own experiences, kind of like sharing in solidarity, that first step of solidarity to say, like, this is our experience and everybody's experience is different. So we couldn't speak on behalf of like all of the people who have ever suffered at the hands of the church, but we can speak about our own experience and share the meaning we've made in our own journey. So we developed in 8 episodes. It's a limited series podcast called Descent into Light. And it follows in each episode the stages of grief. And it details a story that we shared of our own experience of the betrayal and mistreatment and abuse of a spiritual director that we had that culminated in the alleged sexual assault of another sister from our previous community. And so we take you through it in these 8 episodes through the stages of grief, our own kind of journeying through grief, but then also from our personal experience out to the systemic reality of how these things happen. And so that was our first major project that we released last year, was that podcast, Descent into Light.
And people reach out to you from around the globe after hearing this and after finding you and finding your mission. And I've heard that you get emails and people reach out to you all the time. The two of you, how do you manage all this?
It's a lot, to be honest, Jennifer, because the reality is that there are no other religious sisters who are dedicated to this work of safeguarding in the church. And a lot of times people ask us how many people have experienced abuse in the church. And I mean, the answer really is a lot. It depends on whether you're speaking about sexual abuse or spiritual abuse, but we are speaking about a wider reality of abuse, not just sexual abuse, although there are people who suffer from sexual abuse who contact us. And so people who have experienced abuse in a variety of ways do reach out to us from all over the world. We meet with people online. So we meet with survivors in other continents, and it is a work that is very much needed in the church, and safeguarding in general is something that is very much needed. Our work is very much needed. And so that is why we are focusing on growing as a community, because the two of us can't handle this by ourselves. And we felt called to start a religious community for this purpose, because we see this need into the future. Like, creating a safer church is something that is a work that is continual. helping people to understand the dynamics of abuse and preventing abuse. We're never going to have a perfectly safe and sanitized church. So this work is continuous and needed in a continual way. And so that's why we're focusing right now on a season of growth for our community.
Now, there are just the two of you as sisters, but you have people behind you helping behind the scenes. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, part of fielding so many emails, which I think our email grows, we just did like an analysis of our emails, it grows by 50% each month. So like, and a big part of that is people reaching out from across the globe, seriously, to help us do this mission. And they have such profound intuition as to what our needs would be and insight into how their skills can serve us. And us, like serve the people that we seek to serve, to have real like impact. And that has been amazing. And so that happens on kind of like a global scale, which is incredible and overwhelming in the most beautiful way and humbling. Then that has also happened locally, which has been so lovely. And spending so much time online, there can be a certain element of disconnect, like, but having that local connection, I mean, we have only been here 1 year now, and this feels like home. This has been a home for us, and we've just been so profoundly received everywhere we've gone in the diocese, and we've trekked about. I mean, we may not have made it to everybody's parish, but we have been around the diocese quite a bit. And everywhere we have gone, someone has seen an article that was written or has heard of us or something and reaches out and says hello and welcomes us. And those that we've met and had any kind of conversation with have had a real deep understanding of our mission. And that has been amazing. And then we also have the Resource Advisory Council. We have a team of people who just organize themselves and have been helping us on the local level to get our name out there, to meet people, to like help people understand who would like to help, how they could, or even just to help us feel welcome within this diocese. And I mean, that's rare. That's rare and really special. I feel like there's something here in the Lexington Diocese, Eastern Kentucky, that is a spirit of brotherly, sisterly care, of the Good Samaritan, of welcoming the stranger, that I haven't experienced. I have been all over. In my previous community, I traveled all over Canada, all over the United States, San Francisco to New York City. There's something about that Southern hospitality and unique to Kentucky, I think, of that welcome of the stranger that we have been recipients of, that has been just humbling.
So how can people get involved if they want to help? If they are hearing what you're saying, go, oh my gosh, I really resonate with that. How can I get involved?
I think the first thing would be to go to our website, which is sistersoflittleway.com. And that's our Substack. So we post there semi-regularly, but it gives you a sense of the work that we're doing and how to connect with us. There's a tab where people can donate or offer to volunteer or connect with us. Our email is on the website as well.
So just like some concrete areas that you'd find on there, like we have an Amazon list of just our basic needs, and then we have, and our reading list. We have a library list of just reading either for school or, that's just good to have on the topic. But then also there's like forums for if you want to volunteer or if you would like to share your story. If you are someone who has experienced harm in the church and would like to meet with us and schedule a time, we set aside time every single week designated for people who would like to just meet with us. We're not counselors, we're not therapists, but we care and we will listen, and it'll be your time, to share what you'd like to share. And so that's very valuable to us. Also, if women are discerning, if someone's considering, like something about our mission resonates with them and they too feel called to this sort of radical rootedness in the Lord, to give their life in a total way, especially for the vulnerable in this way, in this mission of beauty, truth, and goodness, then there's a form on our website that they can reach out to us. And we're now really receiving, I mean, it's kind of funny because just before we entered into this conversation, we were doing like high level planning and thinking about things in like in the nitty gritty way and big. And so it's to shift, like to to come into just talking about these things. It's like a total shift in the day, but really we're just at a place now to be able to receive more inquiries of women discerning. So we have a core group of women who have been discerning, and now we've been trying to do work to be able to be ready to make a home for them, to prepare a place. And so we're opening our doors for discernment now, which is exciting.
So if someone has an 8-bedroom home that happens to be near a Catholic parish in the Lexington Diocese,
You just
go
don't need
to-
anymore.
that you don't happen
I'd
to
like
need,
to donate.
or you have some extra land that you'd like to donate and funds to build an 8-bedroom home,
We'll pray for you for
contact
life.
the sisters. And what's the
Generation.
website again?
sistersofthelittleWay.com.
So I asked all my Mary Queen Stories guests about the Mary Queen mission statement phrase that resonates the most. So again, as a review, the Mary Queen mission is to receive God's love, proclaim the greatness of the Lord, serve joyfully, and make missionary disciples of Jesus Christ. So we'll start with Sister Theresa. Which one of those phrases resonates with you the most?
I think definitely receive God's love, because that's so primary, and I think it's beautiful that you start with that. And I think the people that we work with, because often they've experienced harm in the church by someone who is a leader in the church, that ability to experience God's love is impacted. And so that's why we think the work that we do is so important, to reach out to those people and to show them God's love and to help them return to it.
Sister Danielle?
I would echo all of what Sister Theresa said. I was also thinking receive, because it's primary, exact same reason really and because in order to receive, we really have to know our limitedness. We need to know we're in need. We need to know we're little, we're human beings, and God is God, and we are not God. And so it's through our littleness that we can enter into God's glory. I think that for me is like, even if we're on the road to discipleship already, or we're making disciples of the nations, like we always have to return to be filled. And it's really honoring our limitedness and the limitedness of others that we can encounter that moment of grace. We can't wait to meet Mary Queen community.
Yeah,
all
and
the
everyone
parishioners
else in
there.
the Lexington Diocese.
Yeah, there's so many people we haven't met yet that we're really looking forward to. And if you ever see us, we'd love to meet you. So please,
please introduce yourself to us.
Yeah, introduce yourself and say hello.
We have a gray habit with a black scapular apron and then a teal veil. So you'll notice us if you see us out.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Jennifer.
Thank you for listening to Mary Queen Stories. To connect with us, visit mqhr.org/podcast. Until next time, and always, Mary Queen of the Holy Rosary, pray for us.